I'm a penguin! Hello and welcome to episode 1 of This Week in Linux, the intro to Linux. Alright, so if you're here for one of a couple of reasons. One, a friend, family member, or coworker has mentioned Linux in passing and you had no idea what it meant, so you went to YouTube and typed in, "What is Linux?" or "Intro to Linux," or anything like that. Or two, you've seen Linux mentioned in some form or fashion in the news, be it on the Dell website where they're selling PCs equipped with Ubuntu, or just in the everyday news that Linux makes now. So what is this thing that they call Linux? Before the purists and the perfectionists start in, it's actually GNU Linux, because Linux itself is just the kernel, it's just the central part of the operating system. Getting that out of the way right in the beginning. But to you, the Windows user, the Mac user, the person who has no idea what Linux really is, Linux is choice. When you buy your computer and it comes with Windows or Mac on it, you are not being given a choice. You're being told by the hardware vendors, you're being told by the retail stores that your choice is not important. Well, Linux gives you back that choice. It's completely free. There are tons of different versions available, suited to every shape and size of person, from the very, very beginning person to the ultra elite, you know everything about Linux that there ever was to know person. But first, let's get a couple of things out of the way. Let's go over what Linux is not. Linux is not a 100% drop-in compatible replacement for Windows. No. If you go out to Walmart and you pick up the newest SpongeBob SquarePants game or something, it might not work on Linux. If you go out and you buy the newest tax cut software, it may not work on Linux. If you go out and buy Final Cut Pro for your Mac, it may not work on Linux. In fact, it probably won't work on Linux. The other thing that I hear pretty commonly, Linux is not a hacker tool. If you get right down to it, any operating system can be a hacker tool. Linux just encourages the use of open source. And a lot of people equate open source with hacking. That's definitely not true. Open source is all about the idea of community, everyone coming together to share ideas and to collaborate on projects. Alright, so let's take a minute to go over what Linux is. Linux is an extremely compatible alternative to Windows or Mac. It's not a replacement, it's an alternative. And while I mentioned before that it won't run all of your software, there are alternatives to the grand majority of the software that you would run on a day-to-day basis. Web browsers, email clients, instant messengers, Skype, all sorts of everyday utilities can be found in some form or fashion, be it an alternative or the actual version, on Linux. Linux can be a gaming platform. While it's not considered 100% it will play all Windows games, no. There are a bunch of Linux games available. More and more Windows games are starting to work on Linux every day, and the proprietary drivers, which are sort of frowned upon, are getting better by the day too. Linux can be your own personal multimedia studio. I don't know if you can see it here or not, but I'm actually running an audio capture on my laptop while I'm recording this video. Yes, I'm using all open source tools, I'm using only Linux on all of my machines, and I still come out with a pretty decent production. So for the rest of this series, I don't know if it's going to last a couple of days, I don't know if it's going to last a week, it all depends on how much content I want to cover. I'm going to show you how you can make your transition to the Linux world. If you come to any point in this series and you want to stop, that's perfectly fine. But I've got a feeling that if you're here and you follow me closely, you might just take that step down the rabbit hole and you might like what you see. That's all for this episode of This Week in Linux and this first intro to Linux. Come back next time, we'll be talking about live CDs and how they don't affect your existing installation. You can try it out, you can get used to Linux without having to do anything. Thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.